I will say this, and I have a fix for Chris, and I know he probably listens to the podcast, Chris
For
Ilitch.
sure.
Here's my thing to Chris Ilitch. Dig in your fucking pockets. Stop being a fucking cheap ass. Estimates say this. Here's how you can fix it, Chris. Give me the ball and I'll run with it. I'm okay with making the Tigers great again. Like, I'm okay with that, right? So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to solve it for Chris Ilitch right now. This is how you solve it. There's an estimated $250 million hot and ready sold in 1 year annually. It's $250 million. You make those $6 instead of $5. You got $250 more million. That's it. Game over.
Done.
Stop it.
All right, we're back. It's Monday, y'all. And did the Tigers completely waste their time with Skubal? We saw the last of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And I'm asking these guys, are we going to see baseball next year? Gentlemen, what's going on? How you doing?
Good evening.
Good, man.
Good.
Just trying to recover. The recovery gets longer and longer the older you get. You know that.
The 45 and older league just rolls on you, bro. Rolls on you. Especially when you end the game in a fifth fight.
Yeah, it's not good. Not a good look.
And you guys all know Nolan, the host of the Couch Critics podcast. He's on here because I got a ton of questions. And obviously, when I woke up this morning, I had 21 text messages, all from you guys, because you guys were going
up
back
late
and forth.
last night.
He was up late last night. Obviously, he was a little, but I just want to start. I just want to start with this. Number one, do you guys think there is going to be baseball next year? I'm going to go with you, Nolan. I'm going to have you go first, and then Fred, you can jump in after that.
I think so. I mean, I don't really know much. I don't know enough. I know that there's problems, but I don't know how much it'll take to solve them, right? I know the players probably love the no salary cap because then they can just get paid more. But I don't necessarily think that, it isn't like it's a full league of Tarik Skubals or Juan Sotos, you know what I mean? Or Shohei Ohtani's that are going to be getting paid those enormous amounts, right? And I mean, honestly, I don't even know if those, like even, what is it, Kyle Tucker? Like, he got paid probably way too much, and I don't know if that's really working out. So if anything, like, I think that the contracts that have been coming out, and even the Juan Soto one, you could probably argue that it hasn't really gone their way so far. Obviously, they're in the basement of their division and selling at the deadline in his, first or second year. But I think that the contracts that have been signed and have been put out that have been incredibly large haven't really worked out so far, minus Shohei. So, but obviously he's an outlier, going to end up being the best baseball player of all time. So that's a little bit different. So I think that kind of brings it down a little bit. I think that their biggest problem is probably the deferment of money. So that probably needs to be solved. But I mean, we'll see. I think that Freddie might know a little bit more than me, but I'm optimistic that they'll be able to come to a reasonable, middle ground between the players and everything. So we'll see. But I guess my hopeful side says yes. My not enough information side says probably not, just because you keep hearing everyone, like the topic of conversation between people that watch baseball is that there isn't going to be a season next year. Like, we're all going to be, like, I saw a tweet earlier today, which I thought was really funny. And it was in reference to the men's mental health decline. And it's like the men's mental health decline is even going to go down even further because we're all just going to be watching the Savannah Bananas. So, it's like, oh, okay. Like Fenway Park, instead of having the Red Sox, it's going to have, again, the Savannah Bananas. So again, I don't know. What the information that I see is that it's going to be lockout and it's going to be a long one. But I hope that that's not the case. But again, Freddie might know more than me.
Yeah, Fred, we touched on this briefly earlier in the season, but I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think that we're going to be looking at a lockout?
Oh, yeah, there's going to be a lockout. I've been saying this before the season started because the contract ends in December. They've been talking about this for almost 2 years now. It came to light this year, but they've been talking a little bit about this kind of like a year ago. And I think there will definitely be a lockout. I don't know if it's going to be like one of those. I don't think we're going to miss a full season, but we might get something like a 70-game season, something like that. Starts in June, July, something maybe. That would be my guess. And I guess I'm hoping for more. I'm hoping they can figure things out. I'm on the side of the players always and every single argument that I've ever came across. I'm not on the side of the salary cap. I think that's so silly to tell somebody you can only pay them certain amount, or like you, Brad, you run a business, like if they capped like and said, "Well, you guys can only pay this, or the other realtor companies are going to get mad." Like, it's like, no, like, like at
Right.
Oak and Stone, we give 6% to our sales agents, right? I'm making that public now, right?
Right.
You get 6%?
No, 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 no. That's not
No,
the way it
yes,
works.
you
But
do. No.
okay. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you were to give 6% to your guys, every other real estate company would be like, "Hey, you can't do that. What do you mean? It's my fucking money. I can do whatever the fuck I want." And now you have flocks of people wanting to work at Oak and Stone, right? So why is that bad? Like, I don't know. But like, if there is anything that I would love to implement, it's a floor, not a cap, because that's the problem that is the beginning of the problem, is the fact that you're mad because, not you personally, but you're mad that you don't want teams to spend all this money. But I'm mad that teams don't spend enough. And it doesn't matter which team and what market. But so like it's kind of weird to say that you're a business and you can't pay people what you want to pay them because it's not fair for other people in the same business. I mean, isn't that America? Isn't that like it's crazy to me to think that like that deeply about the Oak and Stones of the world, right? Like if someone came up to you and was like, "Brad, you're paying these people too much." Like that's crazy to me. Like
Right.
so like
Because you're saying that everybody has the opportunity to pay
I
whatever they
think
want.
I
It's
think we all know that
okay.
every owner in baseball can afford Ohtani. Every single one. Not two, not big market, not the Boston, New York, LA markets, stuff like that. No, every single team in the league can afford Ohtani. Now, profit margin. So you're going to punish the players to get paid more because the owners aren't going to make that much profit margin. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is so silly. So, I mean, and then my other point was the floor. So you have teams that get the luxury tax. I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay, and I don't have to deal with it because I'm not an owner, but I'm okay with the whole luxury tax thing, right? So you go over a certain amount, and then that money gets redistributed and blah 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 and all that stuff. And if you ever read into it, there's teams like the Miami Marlins that make more than they pay out in payroll before they throw one pitch in
I
the
remember you
season
saying that.
because of the
Yep.
luxury tax. So, I mean, there are some teams that are low end that don't want the salary cap either. Now, the Illiches have expressed that they do, right? And they're just being tight asses. I will say this, and I have a fix for Chris, and I know he probably listens to the podcast, Chris
For
Ilitch.
sure.
Here's my thing to Chris Ilitch. Dig in your fucking pockets. Stop being a fucking cheap ass. Estimates say this. Here's how you can fix it, Chris. Give me the ball and I'll run with it. I'm okay with making the Tigers great again. Like, I'm okay with that, right? So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to solve it for Chris Ilitch right now. This is how you solve it. There's an estimated $250 million hot and ready sold in 1 year annually. It's 250 million. You make those $6 instead of $5, you got $250 more million. That's it. Game over. Stop it. No, your profit margin doesn't change because you're just using that extra buck for the Tigers, right? So now you have $250 million by making a hot and ready $1 more. Like,
Promise you this. I promise you this. There will not be one person in this city that would be upset for spending $1 more on pizza if you can guarantee us a World Series. I
and
promise you.
no, and not guarantee a World Series, but guarantee that you're going to spend 250 to 300 million a year, right?
Which
And
would
not
put us
be in
in
the bottom
contention, let's say.
and not be in the bottom half, and then you're going to compete at a higher level. And that's just the numbers will show. But like, I'm talking hot and readies. $1, Chris. Stop being a fucking cheap ass.
Let me ask you this question. And this kind of leads into the Tiger thing, and then we'll talk about the Skubal thing, and then I'm gonna ask you a little bit more about the Dodgers. but I heard this, and I'm curious if I've heard this correctly. If it's inevitable that there will be a lockout, okay, and everybody in Detroit is all excited about this whole Max Clark thing, okay, love the kid so far. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a good addition. Some people don't like his young little swag he's got. Me personally, I love it. Freddie and I have talked about it before. Fred loves it, right? We need it. Now, it's under my impression that since he now is on the team, okay, if for some reason or if there is a lockout next year, he cannot play. Now, if he would have stayed in Toledo and continued to ride out the season in Toledo, he would have continued to play in Toledo next year. So I asked this question. Did the Tigers do him a disservice knowing that there could possibly be a lockout looming come next year? Am I making sense what I'm asking you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that holds anybody back from bringing them up, though. You can't. You got to give the kid. You got to bring him up. And listen, he could train just as much as everybody else can train. That's in the major leagues. That has the lockout, right?
Okay.
Can't
So it
use it.
doesn't it's like because I was under the impression he just can't play baseball, but
Oh,
he
no,
could continue
you
to
can't
be
use the
developing
facility.
everything in Toledo.
You can't use the facilities. That's the lockout, right? So
Okay.
you're being locked out from the facility. Doesn't mean you can't go to, anywhere else where everyone else was doing their work during the last lockout and stuff like that. I mean,
Okay.
everyone works everywhere, works out everywhere. So no, I don't think that's a problem with him. I mean, it's going to suck for everyone, to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay. I thought maybe if it was like, well, he has to stop. Wait, why are you putting him in these? Well, I don't know. I mean, we're still somewhat in it. We'll see what happens. But obviously, the biggest thing right now is, especially here in Detroit, is the whole Skubal situation, right? And I think that the biggest problem, like you guys have went back and forth. I put something out on social media, and there's some very good comments if you read some of the stuff that I put out there that people were saying, like, one, that the Ilitches didn't do him any service by the lack of relief pitching. They didn't get him a lot of help. I mean, for God's sakes, his last outing, we were up 7-1, and we blew the lead. Like, you can't put that on him.
He was actually part of that.
At the end.
Yeah, and I mean,
but
here's the thing too. Like,
go ahead. No.
For me, this is the way that I look at it. As again, I got a ball.
Well, I want you to take in perspective as a baseball fan. I want you guys to take your
for sure. No,
I love Boston. I love New York. It's honest opinion. Like, what if this was your team? What would be your thought process on it?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll answer first as a fan of baseball from a third party perspective, and then I'll do it like if they did this to, like they did it to Mookie Betts, right? So I can answer from
Okay, there you go. Good point.
But first, as like a baseball fan, like I watched the interview that Skubal had. I got the notification, Skubal holding back tears, right? Like you can say what you want, like Ilitch didn't give him this, Ilitch didn't give him that. It's very evident that if you watch that interview, that exit interview, if you want, of Skubal as he makes his way to LA, he enjoyed his time in Detroit. Like, if anything, the disservice is not doing everything that they could to keep him there longer, right? And that could be the bullpen help, but like blowing leads or like doing this, like it doesn't fucking matter. Like he, again, probably wanted to win in Detroit, might still return at some point, similar to how Verlander did. But I mean, what? He's retiring. He's a Tiger. Still up in the air, though.
That's
if he's going to go in the Hall of
That's
Fame as a
cute.
Tiger, though, might go in the Hall of Fame as an Astro, but which would be kind of awkward. But nonetheless, I think what matters right now is how Skubal feels about it. And, obviously he loved his time in Detroit, was like crying about having to leave, talking about his best friend. So I think that was pretty cool. I mean, this is going to happen at any point. Like the Tigers, unfortunately, they were the best team in baseball for almost the whole season last year, up until probably like the last month or so. And then, obviously they had the huge collapse. So like, it wasn't unreasonable to think that with adding Framber Valdez and a couple of other guys with the addition of McGonigal coming up, and to think that they were still going to be a playoff team. And unfortunately it just didn't work out, Skubal getting hurt for a while and this and that, and Framber being an absolute psychopath. But, sometimes the chips just don't align the way that they want. So like, I understand the emotional side that the Tigers fans in your comments are taking, because they're probably upset and blaming Ilitch for not doing this or not doing that, which could be a part of the equation. And it was, to transition into this, the same way that I viewed the Mookie Betts trade. Like, why are we not doing more to keep a generational player on our team? Like, Mookie Betts has moved on, has won World Series, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, done all of that, right? Which is, and like what we got in return for it was what? Alex Verdugo, who's literally Max Clark. So there you go. Like, you are optimistic about Alex Verdugo. I'm just kidding. I hope he has Max Clark does well. But again, what we got in return for Mookie Betts was Alex Verdugo. So me and Freddie were kind of saying this in text chain. There's only one guy that I've talked to that has had positive sentiment about this trade, and it's Dylan Linklater. For some reason, his short list of people that he wanted was the number 25 prospect in baseball, and that was all he really wanted, which I think is weird. And I think Andrew was in your comments very optimistic too, which again seems very weird. I think that Freddie has had a pretty good finger on the pulse this whole time. Probably should have traded him in April. That's
So
what I think that people would say.
Season, even before,
Yeah.
if they were getting a fucking king's ransom for this guy,
Dude.
word on the street, right?
Yeah. Like early in the year, remember this, Freddie? They requested from the Yankees to get Schlittler, Bet Rice, one other. And now they didn't even get a guy that plays in the MLB. Like, he doesn't even play. Nobody plays in the MLB yet, right?
No.
And I was talking to my buddy Brennan Spangler. He's really reasonable about these things. He's like, here's what's going to happen. They're going to trade him for a bunch of prospects, which is what inevitably happened. And if you're lucky, like 1 in 5, I think he said, I can't remember the exact number he said. He's like 1 in 5 prospects actually make it to the MLB, let alone like what the statistic would be for the next, like even close to what Tarik Skubal brings to the Tigers, right? Like, it would be probably 1 in 1,000's chance that one of the players that you get is going to turn out to have the same or relatively same impact. You know,
well,
so
that was my other thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the same thing, and I said that from the beginning, that why wouldn't you knew you weren't going to pay him. You knew you weren't going to pay him. Like, there's no way that anybody thought from that in upper management that they were going to pay him the money that he wanted, right? They thought about it at the beginning of the year. Why not dump him when he's at his highest point and get more for him? Now, these prospects, again, you're basically rolling the dice and hoping that maybe one of these guys pans out. Now, Freddie, you did say in the text message you're a fan of the Zaire Hope guy, but he, again, that he hits the ball well. He hits with power. Problem is, he strikes out a lot. A lot of people are comparing him to Riley Green. Fred, your thoughts on what we got with them? Obviously, we got Ryan River, Brady Smith, and Zaire Hope. Two right-handed pitchers and an outfielder.
I love Zaire Hope. I think the River Ryan one, I think that was like the Dodgers kind of like pulling
just throwing something in there.
Well, no, because they actually got him from San Diego, so it's weird that they didn't want to develop him. So I think that was one of the guys they wanted to get rid of, to be honest. So that kind of benefited the Dodgers. The Zaire Hope, I mean, dude's a stud, but again, it's not going to hurt. I think he's top 60 in the whole MLB in prospects.
But when you say he's a stud, you're saying he's a stud performing in AAA right now. He's never done anything in the major league level. So I think he has the ability.
He's 21 years old, and he could be a 5-tool player. He's got speed, and he's got arm strength, hitting, everything. He has everything. When they poke and prod these guys, there's a little recipe that comes up, and he fits that. Now, I don't think that's going to affect the Dodgers either, because it doesn't matter, right? If he turns out to be Riley Green, let's say, that's not going to hurt the Dodgers. But it would be okay for the Tigers. The problem is, though, and I've said, and me and Nolan were texting this last night, I just can't, as a fan, fathom the fact that you get rid of the best pitcher in baseball to say, well, we'll see what happens in 3 to 4 years from now. So, okay. Like, that is crazy to me. And again, it all comes down to charging $1 more for a hot and ready. And we solved this problem. It's crazy to me that it's the norm in Detroit. Now, here's my other thing, and this is what I was talking to my brother.
Hold on. I don't think it's the norm in Detroit. You're taking a comment from somebody saying to Norman Detroit. Nobody
I
is
think
looking at you. No, you're saying about what we're going to be in like, hopefully we'll be
no,
good in
no.
4, to
I'm
see in 4
saying
years.
that the recipe that they use is a norm. They build players up and
Well, you're
ship them
saying
out.
as a franchise. I
Yeah,
see what you mean. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I thought
So,
you were
like,
saying that that was the feeling of, like, the Tiger fans.
oh, no.
No,
What I'm
okay,
saying
I
is it's
misunderstood, I'm sorry.
sad that this is reality, right? And this is what I was saying to my brother-in-law on text with the Skubal trade is I said, well, the other thing you have to worry about is you have to worry that Zaire Hope doesn't become one of the best outfielders in the league because then he won't be there. Let's be honest.
Right. He's gonna end up
So,
like Curtis Granderson or something like that. Like, we're like,
like everybody
bye.
else that was at the top of their game in the outfield. So, like, it's cool to have like these little windows of opportunity. But I mean, when we talk the Lions, you know how quick that window closes, dude. That it
For
it
sure.
it closes quicker than it opens. So you want to roll the dice on hoping that some of these prospects work out in 3 years from now. I mean, bro, have at it. Like you just entered irrelevancy. Like you literally put yourself into the irrelevant category. Now, as of today, 2.5 games out, yes, very relevant, right? But in the big picture, irrelevant, right? They're like, I hope they make a run, like, of course, like, I think it would be great for the city, but it's just, it's sad to think that that's okay. And Brad, we've talked about this. Nothing is going to change. The
You know,
only time something's going to change is if what happened to the A's happens to the Tigers. When you start seeing 2,000 fans at the games, that's when things are going to change. But when people, you go to Comerica and it's pretty much packed. Like, like,
yeah,
mm,
especially if it's nice in the middle of July, August. Absolutely it is.
so
Absolutely it
that
is.
nothing's going to change. So, like, and that's sad to say that, well, fans should stop going to the game. I don't think fans should ever stop going to the game, but that's the reality behind the business.
Fair.
Now, when that
Fair.
happened to the A's, look at the A's. The A's are going to be very good. The A's are going to get $1 billion stadium in Vegas. They're going to be a contender. Like maybe, and I've said this kiddingly, half-heartedly, maybe
I
it's
already know
time.
where we're.
Maybe it's time Chris just sells the team.
Let me ask you this, Nolan. I'm gonna go to you
Montreal
now.
Expos are looking for a spot now. Bring
That
the
would be.
Montreal Expos back.
I did watch an interview today of a guy who I think was maybe a local broadcaster in Oakland. This was back when they were making the move. And like I watched his like emotional final sign off of like how he's like 10 years from now, there's going to be kids wearing, Oakland A's hats around and there's not going to be a team. He's like crying. I was like, damn, dude, that's kind of sad. Like
That is
I
sad.
saw a guy wearing a Montreal Expos hat like, at the Inwood Invitational. And I was like, holy shit, like an Expos hat? And I don't think a lot of people know that logo. Like,
I love it.
I
I
know,
love
but
it. I
like
thought it was cool as hell.
the everyday person, like people my age,
Yeah.
that
You
moderately watch baseball, like they don't even know what the Montreal Expos are. It might as well be the same as the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I think the
Like,
Brooklyn Dodgers is more recognizable.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of the Dodgers, though, and you guys probably saw the post I had on there, and there's a lot, and it obviously, Nolan, you're a big X guy. You're on X quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of the comments that you're seeing on there is saying, and it's probably going to go, I think I know how Freddie's going to answer this, but they're saying that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. Now, a lot of the things that I'm reading, it's because of their exorbitant media contract that they have, that they don't have to share that revenue. Do you think, okay, now I'm going to take you back to who you are as a Red Sox fan. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball?
I mean, I don't think so. I think that's the easy way out to look at it like that, right? To just be like, to like see what they're doing and just be like, this is unfair. Like, this is stupid. Like, that's such a, I don't know. Maybe it's because at the current moment, I think that, at least from what we've seen over the last, month and 2 days, the Red Sox are the best team in baseball. So I don't really care what the Dodgers have on their roster. We're about to it's 6-4 in the bottom of the 7th, right? And we're 7 outs away from sweeping the Dodgers that are apparently unbeatable.
Well, let me
hold on,
just
though.
Go ahead, finish.
Okay, no, go ahead. Ask your question. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not gonna. I'm saying, like, if you look at the season that they had last year, and they struggled, they had some downtimes, but when it came to the playoffs,
They should have lost.
They
they,
were
they
an out away from losing the World Series.
but they
They
didn't
should have
lose.
lost.
No,
No,
They
but you
didn't
should
lose.
have. But if
But
you,
they didn't.
it-
They
but
didn't lose.
no, they did win the World Series, but it wasn't overwhelming.
yeah, it's not like they
It
swept.
wasn't overwhelming. It
And-
wasn't overwhelming.
That Toronto team, I compare it to the Boston Red Sox team this year. They were under 500 in May. That
That's
Toronto
true.
Blue Jays team, so. I mean, are you done, Nolan? Because I don't want to jump in.
Last comment,
Go ahead.
last thing, and then Freddie, I'll turn back over to you. What they're doing is dumb. Like, you look at it and it's stupid. Like, they're signing Kyle Tucker. They're paying all these guys probably way more than they should be. They are overpaying, you could say, or just outbidding everyone, which is dumb, right? Like, that is stupid, but it isn't necessarily ruining baseball, because where I sit today, like, I really do not think that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I really do not think so. Like, the last time that it happened was the Yankees, of course, like 3 in a row. And this is what I was actually going to bring this up and ask you guys, because this was, a ways ago. I think that I was, an infant or even less than that. So, like, when the Yankees won, which is the last time it happened, 3 in a row, what was the same feeling present, where it was just like the Yankees are like dominating, they're going to win every year? Or was it like there were people competing and the Yankees just kept making it happen? Because the easy thing to think is the Dodgers are just going to run away with it. I don't really think that they are. And if they did, like, I don't really think it means as much as what it does when the Yankees did it, because you can still say that they are overpaying and outbidding everyone. But
Before Fred comments on that, I'm going to speak
Yeah.
to the outside perspective in that era, right? To me, this is the exact same thing. This was the perception, the exact same thing when I was a teenager. Is they were like the Dodgers. They were just spending. They were spending unlimited amount. Steinbrenner was spending an unlimited amount of money. They could afford whatever they wanted to, and it's the same situation. But then I'm going to go back to what Fred just said. Like, and you treat it like a business. If I can like, let's look at it as Oak and Stone. If Sarah decides she's going to overpay for a bunch of agents, fine. But our bottom line, we're still making money. At the end of the day, we're still making money. We may overpay for so-and-so, whatever, but at the end of the day, our bottom line, we're still making money. It's a business. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So, and to Fred's point, he says it all the time, like, where in the hell were the Milwaukee Brewers in this situation? Why didn't they pay for Skubal? They're having a hell of a season right now. He could have been a huge asset to this team. Like, why didn't they do something? And I think Fred says this all the time, is if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan right now, you're saying to yourself, why did you not make this move?
Well,
right, Fred?
Yeah, 100%. Here's the thing about the whole, like, Dodgers are ruining baseball. I think that's not at all correct. I think that's kind of, I'm not even on that, in that field of play. It's kind of silly to say. I agree with Nolan, total cop out, because you know who's not saying things like that? Boston fans, Yankee fans, Mets fans. Those fans are not saying that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. Okay, so you have to understand where this is coming from. Like Nolan said,
it's Tigers fans who are not spending money.
No, well,
And it's
here's the
more
other
jealousy
thing
than anything.
But here's the other thing. This all Dodgers are ruining baseball come out after this Skubal trade. Now, they're paying him $9 million. If $9 million ruins baseball, then you need to fold. You need to get your team together, fold, go up to Montreal, become the Expos. Like, if that's going to bother you, it's not like they signed him in the offseason at the end of this year and they're going to give him $700 million. And then people are going to come out of the woodwork and be like, oh my God, dude, they literally are paying him for the rest of the year. This is a fucking rental. So until that happens, then we can't really talk about, they're getting everybody. Now, I will disagree with you on the Yankees-Dodgers thing. The Yankees had the core four, okay? They had Posada, Pettit, Bernie Williams, Jeter. That's a little different. And then Mariano Rivera. So they have 5 guys that are potential Hall of Famers, right? That were homegrown. That's a little different than what the Dodgers are doing.
Fair. That's fair.
So
But
So
I'm saying,
9
I'm telling you, I wanted to, because I knew, I'm just telling you the outside opinion of
yeah.
what everybody else, not Yankees fans, would thought of. It's very similar to how it is right now.
Well, but here's the thing. In reality, it's not. So like if you just picked up a book and looked at it, you would see that. And instead of just automatically hating the Yankees, hating the Dodgers, like and looking at it 98, 99, and 2000, I mean, you got 5 guys that are arguably going to be in the Hall of Fame that are homegrown. Like the Dodgers don't have that. So it's a totally different kind of team. Now, did the Yankees go out and get some guys? Of course, like everyone else did, you know. But what the Yankees did most importantly is what the people like that in Detroit don't do. They don't. They didn't let Jeter go or Posada or Bernie Williams or Mariano Rivera. Now, again, like I said, potential Hall of Famers, right? All playing together. You know, this is the culture that Detroit could have built around with
Yeah,
McGonagall.
100%.
And you listen, I'm a Jackson Jobe guy. I don't know why. Love Casey Mine. You know, like
He's
there's a
going to be a
lot of guys.
Cub. By the
I
time
was
this comes out, he's going to be a Cub.
always told you I was always a Riley Green guy and a Carpenter guy. You know, always. So like the culture they could have built by keeping these 5 guys together, you know, it would have changed the vibe, dude. Like, you know, like you can't just get mad at people because, oh, well, they're buying championships. First of all, no one won a championship for free. So let's get that out of here. Like, that's just silly.
I will guarantee you this, Fred. September 8th, we just booked to be on the Sports Real podcast. I promise you, this is going to be the #1 conversation on that podcast, and it's going to be directed towards you, and it's going to go just like this. I promise you. There's already been chirping on that podcast about you and about the Yankees and about how much disdain they have for the Yankees. It's going to be a thing on when we get on that podcast.
Yeah, and I can't wait. But like, I do think that it's gonna be a little NFL focused. It's like when we go on, it's the day before opening day.
Mm, yeah.
You know, because they're doing like a Wednesday NFL game this year.
Yeah, but it's but
Right.
you know what they're
But
coming
yeah, of
for.
course. And
You know
we'll
what
see.
they're coming for.
But yeah, and I'll tell them that they need to get on board with charging $1 more for a hot and ready, and then they could play with the big boys. You know, like they could hang out with us too. You know, like they could possibly win 3 in a row. That would be so cool, wouldn't it?
It would be.
No,
I
that
mean,
Hey, I'll be fine with one. No, it would not be.
1984 lives on, baby.
Should have
Keep
worn
the
my
tape
shirt
going.
today.
Wait, what would it be? We got to make it to at least 2034. No, we got to make it to 50. Yeah, 50 years.
Yeah.
We got to to at least 2034.
50,
And
definitely.
I think that trade just
Well, listen,
solidified it too.
it's not out of the it. I mean, it looks great. To be honest, your
Yeah.
statement looks fantastic. I mean, Brad asked me the question, "What's the next Detroit team to win a championship?" I said the Wing, and I believe that because I just don't see it happening. Hockey's a different animal. Obviously, we know how basketball works. You're getting that kind of flavor in baseball. NFL's getting a little, you know, NBA-ish, a little bit, right? We're not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So listen, it's just a matter of time before super teams are, but hockey, I feel, is a little different. It's not the same. The pay structure is a little different. So like, yeah, it's going to be different. And I think that's your best chance in winning a championship in Detroit is the win.
Yeah. And Brad, you said that Casey Mize is going to be a Cub. I doubt it. The Cubs just acquired Kevin Gausman from the Toronto Blue Jays.
Right before I
So-
jumped on, every all over X is saying that was looking like, and again, we're just let everybody know we're recording on Sunday night. This is going to drop on Monday morning. But right before I jumped on at 9 Eastern Standard Time, they were saying that Casey Mize is going to the Cubs, and we're going to get Seiya Suzuki, the outfielder, but he's like 31.
Very good.
But he's
Real
batting
good.
.278 and
Yeah,
has
that would
19
be
home runs.
well,
Like I wasn't really
crazy.
upset
Why
with
would
that.
they
Like
do that?
I didn't. I saw it in more than one spot, more than
That
one
would be
place. It wasn't
crazy.
just one, but
That would
Well,
be wild.
To further Nolan's point too, when he said that you gave away Skubal for guys who aren't in the MLB. And here's the thing. Like, there was a lot of we've been talking about the Skubal trade since the end of last season, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, for
I
sure.
think on Kalshi, he was at 90% chance of being traded, which I think was low because I feel like it was 100% chance.
100% it had to
Now,
be done.
now there was also the idea of we can trade Skubal and still compete. Well, that's not where they're going then,
No,
you know? So like,
not with what we're
well,
getting.
but my point is, why aren't the fans just totally like outraged about that? That you're 2.5 games out and you get rid of your best starting pitcher to get
Well,
not another starting pitcher. Like you could
I
have
think they are. I think they are. I think they are. I think.
no, they're
I mean,
blaming the Dodgers for ruining
well,
baseball. I mean, that's
I
what
don't.
I
I
see.
don't.
In the comment section, I don't see anything about the Tigers not getting or not being able to compete. I see more of the Tiger fans mad that the Dodgers are ruining baseball, and no one mentions Chris. I'm the only one who mentioned Chris Ilitch. He's the only one who made out on this deal. He saved $9 million. So, like, I mean, are you guys gonna like hold them accountable? Do you remember early in the season, Nolan was gonna like go to their houses,
He was.
the management of the Boston Red Sox. Like these are like he was that pissed off at the and then the Cora thing happens, and then of course they turn around, which sucks because I wish it didn't have to happen that way with Cora, but like
No, I just
is there
look.
any
Everybody here
outrage
is
with the
not
fans
big.
to like
Yeah. No,
go to Illich's next like open to the public meeting for Illich Holdings and say
no. Everybody
what the
here
fuck?
wants this Harris fired, like gone. What's his name? Scott Harris.
Scott Harris. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
like that. That's who everyone blaming.
dude, the Detroit fans that I see are just like, it was inevitable. Like, wish Skubal the best. Like, you guys
Yeah.
are fucking soft, dude.
It's
Like,
sad.
No,
And that's what I see.
anybody. Look, I don't know. Look, everyone's algorithm is different. My algorithm right now is saying that Scott Harris needs to be fired. He shit the bed here, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that what we got for him was absolutely a gamble. I don't
I
know
will
where you
say-
guys are seeing. That's 100% what I'm seeing.
I do think, based off of that interview that I told you I watched earlier today, I think that the Tigers have a really good chance of re-signing him after. Like,
Never.
No way.
Really,
No
I
way.
think that they do.
No way.
I think
No
they do.
way. Yeah, in
I
10
think they do.
years, like Verlander,
No, I think that you do
and
this.
then we'll do a
offseason.
little tour of
No.
of
What's
him
gonna
or something
happen
cute.
is he's going to go to the Dodgers. He's going to be there for 2 months. They're not going to win the World Series, and then he's going to come back to the place that he wanted to stay at. Because Illich is going to hopefully hear it from you guys. And here's the thing: he's going to have to fucking trade Dylan Larkin now. Like, he just had to trade Tarik Skubal. He's now going to have to trade Dylan Larkin.
I mean, like, it's crazy to think about what has transpired in Detroit sports. I mean, getting the best running back of all time to fucking retire, getting one of the best receivers.
How far back are we going to go? I was just talking to him today. He's fine.
No,
We're good.
no, hold on. Getting one of the best receivers of all time just to hang it up, dude, at the age of 30. Getting rid of the #1 Cy Young winner, probably a Hall of Famer, for 3 guys and a bag of baseballs. Like, what? Like Dylan Larkin, he was the next great thing on the ice, right? He wants out to trick. What's that?
You're right. This is Hockey Town. Go ahead.
How many Cy Young Award winners has the Detroit Tigers had in the last 10 years without a World Series? 4? 5?
Scherzer, Verlander, Skubal. Who else?
2 for Skubal. Well, and then Porcello left with
And
one
blew
Cy
up.
Young at the Red Sox.
Yeah.
You guys have had
It's
like
terrible, man. But it goes back. It goes back to exactly what Freddie said. Had you spent the money and kept the core of this team back then, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Porcello, Scherzer, and Verlander all on the team at the same time?
Listen,
I'm almost
forgetting
positive
about one
Porcello
more
was
too.
a young.
You're
What's that?
forgetting about another one too.
Who?
David Price. You had
So-
Scherzer, Verlander, Price, Porcello,
but-
and Yes.
He opened
to
the
Freddie's
checkbook
point-
that year, though. That was
He did o-
Mr. I, though. That was
Yeah, that
Yeah.
different
And
story.
he did open the checkbook though, because that was the team that they were that was the chance to win it all. That was
That was the team that beat the Yankees.
and he did open his checkbook that at that time. Now we're talking about Mr. I and not Chris.
Right.
So they did, but here's the thing. It's like, since it didn't work out, it's like, okay, we just won't try that again. Like, dude, that was a crazy vibe in Detroit back then with that team.
I was at the game when Verlander pitched against Roger Clemens in Detroit, and we beat the Yankees. It was probably the coolest baseball game I've ever attended.
Yeah, but that was your World Series. So like
100%,
and that's what
100%.
Mr. I and Mr. I took.
It was. I'm not going to argue with you.
No, but in the big picture, that's it. Because the direction that they're going now, that is it. Like, like you're going to have to chalk up wins like that against the Boston Red Sox or the Yankees and stuff as your big time, in your historical wins. Those little things are going to be in there. You're not going to see a World Series until I'm going to say it's going to be over 50 years. And I don't know what's going to happen with baseball after that. And if you're okay with that, listen, it's okay to.
Nobody's okay with it, Fred. Calm down. Nobody's okay with it. Like, I promise you, no matter what Nolan's boy Dylan says, he's not okay with it. He doesn't really want to wait 4 years to see what happens. He wants to win now. He can say whatever he wants in a text message.
I don't know.
Sugarcoat
I don't know.
Sugarcoat whatever you want.
I mean,
nobody wants to wait and see what happens. They want to win now.
I also feel like there are a lot of Detroit fans that are realistic people. They're realistic.
100%.
And they understand how this little operation is being run. And it's like,
but those are the people who are saying they want Scott Harris fired. They think the Ilitches are a joke. They think Chris is a joke because they're like, well, your dad would have spent the money. Your dad would have done this. Your dad built the Red Wings. Like, those are the people who can't stand Chris Ilitch.
I mean, he's obviously done a terrible job, right? Like, when did he take over? What year was that? Like, ballpark.
10 years?
I was going to say that would have been my
10
first
years,
guess.
And it's been terrible. Like, how many years have Red Wings not made the playoffs?
Well,
has it been 10 years?
I don't know if they've made the playoffs since he was owner.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
no, they haven't.
Pistons, he doesn't own the Pistons, but the whole thing, though, Nolan, Pistons won one series in 10 years. So, like, it's not like like the Lions were relevant for 2.5 seasons. Like, in the last 10 years, I'm talking about. Like,
but this is our year, bro.
Of course, dude. Of course. And listen, I have my best friend's uncle wore the fucking Honolulu blue fucking starter when we were kids and stuff. And I was like, where did you get that? And he's like, he was pre-Super Bowl era big fan. Bobby Lane and those guys. Is that his name? So that's what he grew up with. So he's big fucking.
No one's like,
big.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. I don't know who Bobby Lane is.
So you don't remember with Peyton Manning and who was the comedian that they reversed the Bobby Lane curse, and that's when the Lions made it to the NFC Championship game, and they said that was why, because they reversed that curse.
No, I don't know.
No.
Was that 1957
when they won the championship? Yes, it was 1957.
Yeah, I mean, but it's crazy to think that I grew up in Jersey and my best friend's uncle was a Lions fan. So I was also, and I've always told you this, Brad. My entire life, I've always wanted to go to a Thanksgiving game in the big house. Like, dude, and I'm pissed that I never got to see Tiger Stadium. Like, that kills me. I got to see the Wings at the Joe, which was really fucking awesome. Just the banners and shit. I'm a sports fan, right? I'm a sports junkie. So, like, I like cool shit, like I moved there in 2015, and that year I went to the big house. Like, there is nothing going to keep me from going to the fucking big house. Like, and I go to the Thanksgiving game every year. I support Detroit. I may sound like I don't at times, but I'm a big supporter
all the time.
I'm a big supporter of the city.
Wow. Speaking of the city, we're moving on. We only have a couple minutes left, but I just wanted to at least
wait. One more
thing.
I
have 2 more things too. I have 2 more things too.
All right. Keep going. Let's go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, you first. Okay, first, Freddie brought this up earlier. I do need to issue an apology to Craig Breslow, though, because I was very critical of him before. And I told you guys that I probably wasn't going to go to Boston this year. I go every year after becoming an adult. That trip is booked. Sarah and I will be going there late September. I told you guys we'll be at game 160 and 161. We'll get to see Alex Bregman return to Fenway. That'll be pretty cool. I got to see them clinch last year against the Tigers. Hopefully they're already clinched by then and kind of just fighting for seeding, because that would be pretty late. But nonetheless, I do owe Craig Breslow an apology. I won't apologize to John Henry yet, though. I'm kind of waiting on that still. But Craig Breslow, please make a trade or two here at the deadline. But I think that he's in a really tough spot. And Freddie, I wanted to ask you about the trade that you guys made earlier today, which I think that was another big name from the Nationals. With still the big one that's still sitting there, though, at shortstop that may or may not get moved. But for the Red Sox, I think that we're in a really tough spot because the team is playing unbelievable baseball. And like the last thing you want to do is make a trade and then bring somebody in who fucks it up, right? And what people are forgetting about is that we still have Garrett Crochet, Marcelo Meyer, and Roman Anthony. And the new guy,
Trevor Story.
Curtis Mead.
And Trevor Story.
Well, Trevor Story, I mean, he might have lost his spot. They got a couple middle infielders who are playing incredible baseball. But nonetheless, you got like 5 guys that were starting pretty much every day before that haven't played baseball since May, right? That are very good. Like not having Garrett Crochet and going 25-3 in July, insane. So I'm interested to see what they do. I would really only make probably 2 or 3 guys if they made a trade for that I would be like, okay. Even when they traded Connolly early, I was like, why would you do that? And then the guy breaks his hand like in the first fucking game. And I'm like, that's brutal. But we'll see. Craig Breslow's a decision to make because he better not.
If you were in his position, let me ask this, Nolan, if you were in his position, what would you do?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man. I would have like I just said, my short list of people. Like if you get an opportunity to get CJ Abrams for a pretty limited, like for a decent amount, I mean, he's probably the best shortstop in baseball. I think he's under control. I think I read for him for a couple years. Like that's a long shot. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a long shot. Like, and you're going to have to give some pretty decent things up. But it's tough, man, because the guys that like you would get, you're going to have to give up a lot, which I don't think he wants to do. The Red Sox are really built around a lot of young talent right now. So we're not an old baseball team by any means. I mean, and you got to kind of ride with the rotation that we've got, because I do believe that with this rotation, if it's healthy, they can go up against the Dodgers. Like I'll take Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, Sonny Gray, Jake Bennett, Peyton Tolley, and I'll stack those guys up against any other rotation, and I'm confident in the Red Sox being able to come. So it's tough, but we'll see what he does. Tomorrow's the Red Sox are out west playing the Dodgers, as we talked about, 8-4, bottom of the 8th, about to potentially sweep the unbeatable team. But tomorrow they have an off day, so they'll be back in Boston. If anything's going to happen, it's probably going to be tomorrow. So we'll see. But I was curious about yours too.
Well, I thought it was a really dumb trade. It doesn't really make sense to me personally. You know, like it just, listen, dude's a stud, but it just doesn't make sense. Is that Scoop?
Brad, how do you feel?
You'll be seeing him smile pretty soon, dude.
Oh,
It ain't gonna take long.
Chopping it up.
No more tears. Where are the tears at? Is he still crying?
It ain't gonna take
2
long.
hours ago. He was traded 2 hours ago. He's already got that Dodger blue on.
Yeah, I thought that the Garcia trade didn't make much sense, but maybe my thought is there's something else brewing, because you have Ben Rice to play first base. You're not going to have this guy play second, because unless you're going to deal Jazz, which I don't think they will. And then they're like, well, he can be a right-handed bat and Ben Rice could be a left-handed bat. It's like, well, but they both need to play every day. So how does that, now, with that being said, I said this a week ago when people asked about the Yankees, what blah, 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 all this shit. The thing is, right now, starting left fielder, former MVP, current all-star MVP, Cody Bellinger's former MVP, Aaron Judge. So your left fielder and your right fielder out. Former MVP, Stanton, DH, hasn't played since April. You get those guys back, like Nolan was saying, they're playing. So where are you going to put people? Now, CJ Abrams was on the table. lots of talk about that. Finally, they were talking Pena, like for at short and stuff. Now I can see something like that happening. I don't know if they will make a move. And this is the reason I tell you this, because I believe, and I think they probably believe this too, that a full healthy Yankee team is the best chance they have.
So you think like what is the time frame at which these three will be back? I mean,
It looks like they're all coming
Stanton,
back in August.
Judge.
They're all coming
Okay.
back in August, probably within, I would say, like mid to late, right? So like, and those are guys that like, Belly and Judge play every day. Like, it's like, so the fact that they were talking like there were rumors about the Yanks getting an outfielder and stuff, and I'm like, that makes no sense. Why would you get a starter for the outfield when these guys come back, you're just going to fucking rot on the bench? It makes no sense. Now Garcia, it's like when Stanton comes back, I mean, he's the number one exit velo of any hitter in the history of baseball. I mean, like, you're going to tell me he's not going to play? So like, and he's got like a calf issue. So it's not like, and he only hit, like, he doesn't play the field. So like he's playing. So like the Garcia thing, I don't know if it was a trade for another trade, if they're going to try to loop him into something and maybe go after CJ Abrams or something like that. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Yanks don't make a big move. I understand that the Garcia move is kind of big. It just, he doesn't really fit. It's not a team where he fits in. We don't need a first baseman. And we don't need a DH. So it's kind of weird. I don't think they make any moves. And if they do make any moves, it might be.
When did you trade Duvall?
Oh, dude, he got lit up too. So
yeah,
they got rid
off him. In Camilo Duvall's opening with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's throwing heaters, and it's just a guy who just takes him deep. That's like giving up another over. I didn't even know you traded.
It was earlier this week. Didn't get much. Clear some room. It's not really. It wasn't. It had to happen. He does show sign of like he throws 100.
I mean, he was,
and
fantastic.
It's crazy to me that you could throw 100 miles an hour and not be good. Like that is just wild to me, because maybe he'll find his rhythm in a small market. Maybe he's not ready for that, the New York market. So maybe he'll be okay in Pittsburgh. But I don't see anything major happening. Listen, if they do something drastic at shortstop, it won't surprise me. I just don't see it.
And Brad, to answer your question from before, I think the Red Sox, if anything, they're going to make a move for prospects. So Tigers are probably a suitable candidate. I know that Gleyber Torres has been talked about, but he's not under control, I don't think, after this year. So you won't get much for him. And then they were talking about like packaging him and Mize, probably to deepen the Red Sox rotation. You got a lot of young guys like Peyton Tolley and Jake Bennett in there that you probably like don't want to put all of your eggs in their basket. Maybe, I don't know. But again, like I don't think that you would really get much for really anybody else that's left, right, on that Tigers team. I mean, I was joking with Dylan earlier. I was like, I wonder who's interested in Framber Valdez. Like, gotten any inquiries on him?
Anybody?
Yeah.
All right, boys, we got to wrap it up here. We're almost at our time limit, but I figured this was going to be the majority of our conversation tonight. That's 100% why I wanted to bring Nolan on. I knew that he was itching about the Skubal trade, and obviously both monster baseball fans. So, we'll see how the season goes. But to end the show, and we'll go very quickly, I attended the Rocket Mortgage Classic, the last Rocket Mortgage Classic. Again, awesome event. And I'll kind of say this, when the Rockets started 8 years ago, they put it on over 4th of July. I honestly was thinking about this before I jumped on the podcast. I was in Jersey with Fred for at least 3 of them, I think. I think I was in Jersey for 3 of them because they were always over the holiday weekend. It just never worked with my schedule. I've had the benefit of the last 2 years. Last year where they went into extra holes. And this year was absolutely awesome with the amount of I think there was 20 some guys of the top 50 that were involved in the Rocket. It was absolutely cool. Got to see Ricky Fowler, got to see Captain America today. It was just a really, really cool event. And shout out to Rocket, who we were on the 18th hole. It was an amazing experience. But guys, and I don't want to hear your shit, Fred. Nobody wants to come to Detroit to play, whatever. Just shut the hell up. Just
I
shut
was
the hell
waiting.
up. I am sad to see it go. I really am.
I
It
mean,
felt like it was just getting to the point where it would really start to take off, and then Rocket pulls out. Obviously, they're not making
listen,
money. I
it,
would love to see somebody else step up. I don't know, Nolan, if you could make some phone calls at Ideal Traits, maybe they could pony up a couple bucks. Maybe we could get something. But I guess the question to you, Nolan, and it like, will we see another PGA event in Michigan? And if we do, where is it going to be?
I mean, I think you have to, right? Michigan has, first of all, Detroit Golf Club just did to the PGA Tour and to Rocket Mortgage what the Dodgers did to you. They completely got, I think they, I mean, I think it was like a $16 million renovation. So completely renovate the course. Members got it closed for a year. I think they did get assessed though too. And then now no more tournament. But I understand where they're coming from, right? Because here's the difficult part. As people who are members of that club, like they pay a pretty decent amount to be able to play golf for what, 4 or 5 months, right? And to be able to not probably play that golf course for 2 months out of the 5 is probably pretty annoying. And over the last year, with it being the course completely closed from when the tournament ended last year to when it started, like they didn't play that course at all, with the exception of probably a few that had the opportunity to do so. So I just imagine that that's probably pretty annoying. So when the membership or the board took a look at whether they wanted to be the host course for that, they're probably like, nah. But we'll see. But again, Freddie, to your point, like Michigan has so much to offer from a golf perspective. I think that they were going down the correct path of moving it back in the schedule. And of course, like from what it was in the past years, you can't expect for all of the guys to make a move to play the next year that it becomes a more important tournament. So it does suck. Brad is correct. It does
Yeah.
suck that it is like
Whoa.
that did this now because they had a lot of momentum. I think that if you had the same tournament 5 years from now, you'd see more and more of that top 50 that would compete in it because they made the course harder. That is not even up for discussion because the scores were much lower this year.
You
The
know what's
wear was
funny,
still
Nolan?
-18. I was hoping that it would be lower than that.
You know what's funny is I was sat in the exact same seats right on 18. And ironically, Patrick Cantlay, I don't know if you saw that. Do you see how he hit a fan and the ball dropped in that area right there? Last year, the exact same spot, Patrick Cantlay was in that exact same spot. And I'll send you the video after this. That green was flatter and it rolled off like this. He actually chipped in that shot. This one, he chipped back over on the other side of the green and ended up bogeying the hole. There was a lot of changes that were made on that golf course, and you can see the change on 18 real big. And right when he was lined up, I was like, I have a video of him holing this last year. You know what I mean? And to make it so much harder. But yeah, it is. And the other thing too, like Michigan is known for their golf courses, right? But the problem is a lot of these golf courses that are up north can't accommodate for people to come in. Like where are you going to stay in Gaylord? You know what I mean? Like in some of these places, they can't do it. It has to be down here. And then now we're very limited, whether it's either DGC, obviously Oakland Hills is another level as far as venues are concerned. It's just, I think when you get closer to the city, you have limited options of courses that you can play. And then when you go up north, we just can't accommodate for it.
Nah, they'll make it happen.
They have to.
next
They
year's
have to.
our.
Get out of here. All right, boys.
I mean,
Hey,
they couldn't. They and in closing, Rocket Mortgage Classic ends the final year, and they let a guy from Cleveland, Ohio, win it. It's just like it can't get any worse for Michigan sports.
Is that Michael? He's from Cleveland?
Cleveland, Ohio, dude.
I did not know that.
It just can't get.
Hats off to him, man. Hats off to him. He played. He had a hell of a tournament. I was really hoping that Xander would pull it off, or even maybe Ricky making a little run to end it. Winning it would obviously he's been the name from the very beginning. But a great event, awesome.
He hasn't missed a
played
Rocket Mortgage Classic.
He hasn't.
And
He
he's
did miss a
sponsored
cut,
by
and that was
Rocket.
last year.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
Rocket bastard or whatever they called it. But in sign off for me, for all of you sports bettors out there, Cedar Rafaela for American League MVP this year. Long
Okay.
shot. He's gonna
Long
have
shot.
he's gonna have an awesome end to the year. He's the best outfielder in the American League defensively, and he's absolutely tearing the cover off the baseball. So take a look at that. You'll see.
All right, boys. We'll see you later this week. watching
Predicated on
Spider-Man. We're going to have a special guest on. I'm excited for it, guys. Real quick, talking to our special guest, my cousin Doug, on Saturday. He's going to be hilarious on his antics on what he goes through when he goes to the movies. I'm just going to leave it at that. I said, you need to talk about that on Saturday. It's wild, Nolan. My cousin is going to, you're going to be rolling when you talk to him.
I
But
can't.
all right, boys. See you later this week.